All right, so I am super excited to have back for like the third or fourth time my good friend and bandmate Ryan Gillman.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thunk it?
It's nice to be back in the corner of your bedroom.
Yeah, so now all the listeners know I don't have a fancy studio.
No, I'm on a drum stool over
Yeah,
here.
there's a drum stool. My dog is chilling with her ball on my bed, and but this is kind of emotional because this is the third or fourth time you've done the podcast. Third time you've come over to your interview, but fourth episode because we split that one episode into two.
Yeah.
But this is the last time that you will be a guest on my podcast before you're a married man.
Yeah, man. 19 days
Not that you're counting.
until liftoff.
You're gonna show up to this church and be like, I thought we were getting married on a spaceship.
I thought we were going to the moon after this, dude.
All right, man. Well, let's get right into it. And I know I've been really excited about this episode for a long time. So I'm
Man
really...
texts me in the middle of the day at a wedding. The world isn't ready for my butt rock podcast. I'm like, I don't know if I am either, dude. Look.
How can one prepare for a butt rock podcast? To be fair, but we're gonna start with Stone Temple Pilots because that was a huge part of the intro. And I do want to talk to you about them because I have all kinds of thoughts on them.
Sure, yeah.
But before preparing for this episode, had you listened to them before?
Yeah, and some of their songs I straight up did not know were theirs. Like, I learned later on in life, but like the majority of when I listened to them was actually in like high school on like the bus going home from school. They had this rock station that our bus driver just really liked playing, and like all the songs to 14-year-old me kind of sounded the same. It's just dad rock, and like Stone Temple Pilots was definitely like something they played every day. So I listened to them a lot actually.
Really, yeah, and it's one of those things. I remember, when I first started getting into them, because I would always like go on Wikipedia and look at bands' discographies and like look to see their chart performance of their singles. And I just remember like looking at Pearl Jam, looking at Alice in Chains and Nirvana, and I'm like, these guys, they do have a few number ones, but Stone Temple Pilots is like 6 number one like rock hits. And so you hear like Vaseline and Interstate Love Song. I mean, those are just like 90s rock staples. But I know, obviously, we both know that they're super popular. But what do you think of them as a band?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of parallel what you were talking about, they were always kind of there. But when people talk about, that era of rock, they're also kind of somehow forgotten in a way. Maybe not by, like, fans of the genre, but by just people that are, when you think of, like, the 90s, like the Nirvanas and, like, the Creeds and stuff like that, it's like, they don't come up as much as I think the other bands that were just on the same playing field come up.
Which is interesting because I think a lot of bands that we're going to be talking about today were probably incredibly influenced by Stone Temple Pilots. Anyways, what are your thoughts on? Did you get a chance to listen to Core?
Yeah, dude. I think it's a super interesting album. Am I okay just kind of go in on that one?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't worry, we can continue talking about Stone Temple Pilots after Core. Don't worry.
Awesome. Yeah, I thought the album was super cool because I never sat down and actually listened to it all the way through, but I had listened to a bunch of songs on it before, obviously. Like Sex Type Thing was like low-key one of my favorite songs actually when I was a kid, but I didn't remember that it was Stone Temple Pilots. I was just like, oh, wait, I like this song. And it was like, even though the album was very consistent in sound, every song kind of had its own identity in a way too, to where I never got bored listening through it. Even though the sound was consistent, they did things that low tempo, high tempo that kind of kept you interested the whole way through. There was a song about Wet in the Bed where I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, that was my thought of I think it's kind of a cool album that summarizes them in a way too, because they stayed so consistent throughout it, and that was their song. That's them when you listen to that album, honestly.
Yeah. And it's interesting, just a couple thoughts on Core. First of all, I think Core is an awesome album, but I think that, like, that album came out in a time where, that 90s rock scene was exploding, and you had probably some of the all-time great rock albums that came out within those, those couple of years. You had, like, Pearl Jam's 10, Soundgarden's Bad Motor Finger, Alice in Chains' Dirt, obviously Nirvana's Nevermind, and then In Utero. And those are all like incredible albums, and Core is such a good album. Like when you listen through, it's like that's a good album. Like the vocals are good,
Yeah.
the songs are interesting. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't really sound like they're just trying to have a bunch of like commercially successful singles. It really like sounds like a piece of art.
Yeah.
But I just think like in comparison with a lot of the other stuff, it kind of gets written off. And I think one of the reasons that I get written off, and we were talking about this at band practice, and one thing that always kind of upset me is that I think because whenever people talk about the big grunge bands of the early 90s, there's 5 bands that they mention. They mention Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, and Stone Temple Pilots.
Right.
One of those artists is not from Seattle, and that's Stone Temple Pilots. So
Right.
I always kind of wonder, like, the amount of shit that Stone Temple Pilots got, I wonder, like, how much of it is because they are not from, Seattle, if they're not seen as like authentic. And I say that because they had an album in 96 called Tiny Music from the Vatican Shop. And did you listen to that album by any chance? That has 3 number 1 singles on there, right? Pitchfork magazine, I think, started in the mid 90s. So they were, in circulation when Tiny Music came out. And this album, Tiny Music, is so diverse. You have grunge on it. You have psychedelic rock. You even have a jazz tune on it. And it's such an interesting album. And Pitchfork gave it like a 0.6 out of 10.
That's crazy.
And it's like, and it's one thing, I can see, okay, maybe you were turned off by X, Y, and Z, but to give that album such a low score, like I think there has to be some kind of bias because of their grunge label not being from Seattle. By the way, I apologize for the rant.
No. That's so cool because you mentioned also at Band Practice, you were like, they rated the album that, but didn't you say also like via the fans voting and things like that, they were like one of the best, like they were voted, I think, the best newcomer or something like that.
Exactly. So what happened was, I think it was early 1994. It was either early 1994 or early 1993. I can't remember the year exactly, but Rolling Stone did their year end awards, if you will, and they had their their journalists, their music writers come up with the worst band new artist, and their readers come up with the best new artist. And that year, the worst artist from critics and the best artist from fans was Stone Temple Pilots.
That's so cool.
And here's another thing. One last thing about I think the bias that goes against Stone Temple Pilots is that if you actually look at the reviews that Stone Temple Pilot got for Core, if you look, these critics would say the most vitriolic things about them and then give them like a B.
How can you be so out there like that? And then, it was kind of above average.
Yeah, I'm just like, what? So, and that's just, definitely check out those reviews. I promise you, I'm not lying. There people said some pretty wild things, but then gave it like not a great review, but certainly not as low as the Pitchfork. So it's kind of interesting. So now we're going to transition because last question. What did you think of, before we get into like what butt rock is and how you would define it, what did you think of me crowning Core as the godfather of butt rock?
I think it's super cool because it's kind of, I guess this leads into my response about what you were going to say. I really like going back to Core and just kind of like the way it was made. I like that they kind of abused in music theory. I don't know if people like listening kind of know this, but they abused the flat 5 in so many of their riffs, and it's like they were kind of adventurous at the same time too. The chord changes and the way the songs were structured too, it was adventurous in a way where it kind of kept you guessing where they were going to go next. I think, like you said, it's a perfect album to be the godfather of butt rock because nobody did it right after. Everybody tried to copy it and like kind of take little elements away from it, but they never kind of got what the album was in their own music, if that makes sense.
Right. There is definitely, especially like we're going to talk about Creed. There's a song called What If by Creed.
Yeah.
That song, when I heard it, I was like, there's no way that this band was not influenced heavily by Core.
Oh,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many parallels, and just like the tone of the guitar, the tempo, right? Just so butt rock and
so filtery. Yeah.
What's that?
So filter like the guitars, again, another nerd thing, but they're like phasing the fuck out of their sorry for my language. They're phasing, they're using phasers on their guitars and stuff like that. And that airy sound became a lot of what a lot of bands copied. Afterwards.
No, for sure. You're like you're taking my statement and then just like, here's why, Doug. That is
just
why.
Sprinkling a little bit of sprinkles on top.
So the moment we've all been waiting for. Well, one of the moments we've all been waiting for.
Hell yeah.
How would you define the legendary categorization of butt rock?
Yeah, man. So I came up with a kind of humorous way. There's like 4 different characteristics that I thought, all right, that's what makes something butt rock. It's memed or memeable.
Okay.
As in now you can make like a meme and use it as a song in that said meme. And even though people might not like particularly like that band or song, they know it because they heard it growing up. And it's kind of, and I guess that leads into the second part in that it's nostalgic. It's something that was kind of blared on the radio. It was always kind of in the background in a way. Like it was commercial enough that it was there, but sometimes like with butt rock too, like in kind of my example when I was going back through Stone Temple Pilots, it's like, oh, I remember that song. I just didn't know who it was by. The third characteristic that I had, your dad liked it and he thought all the youth did too, but it turns out it was just him and other dads.
That's hilarious because I remember my dad loved the song "If Everyone Cared" by Nickelback, but like that was after it was cool to like Nickelback, you know. So I was like, Dad, this sucks.
Exactly. It's like, Dad, no. Like, it's just you. It's like, we don't actually like.
Yeah. We were like, How You Remind Me. That's what we were like, whoa. By the time If Everyone Cared came out, we're like,
you're behind.
Yeah.
And the last
we're on to Wolf Mother now.
And the last like kind of point that I had here was that it's cheesy to the point where the emotional darkness in some of the music is kind of funny now.
Yeah.
It's like they were really being serious when they wrote this, but now we kind of make fun of it.
Yeah. It's they took themselves too seriously.
Exactly.
You know, and I love all the characteristics that you mentioned. And so leading into, you know, it's really good that you have 4 characteristics for butt rock because I had 4 faces on my Mount Rushmore because there were 4 faces on the actual Mount Rushmore. So as you know, I chose Papa Roach, Nickelback, Limp Bizkit, and Creed as my Mount Rushmore of butt rock. What are your thoughts on those 4 bands being on my Mount Rushmore?
Great presidents. I would travel there, and if they had their faces on a rock somewhere, I'd go travel see that. But no, I really did agree. I'm not gonna be too controversial in that. Like, definitely 3 of them. I'm like, I can't argue that any of their band deserves to be up there on 3 of them. The one where, and this is honestly the band I know the least about, being Papa Roach. They're still doing stuff in my opinion, and they're still they're working with newer artists actually. I mean, newer in a sense. But if you listen to any of their new stuff, they've kind of changed and kind of caught up to the times in a way. So there was a couple honorary mentions I like to bring to the table that I think kind of followed my characteristics that I thought.
Well, I actually gave some honorable mentions, and I'm going to pull that up real quick, and
Sure.
I want to see if there's any overlap between the honorable mentions that I included in the ones that you did. So
let's do it.
So give me like 2 seconds. I know
I'm
I said
excited
2
for this.
seconds, but
We're gonna definitely overlap, I feel like.
let's see.
And also, just for those listening, like this was not planned. Like we haven't told each other any of what we put here. So
no, all right, go for it.
Okay, Godsmack for me.
Okay, that's not on the list, but I considered it. Yeah,
they're just
no,
heavy.
they're
played.
definitely butt rock for sure.
Breaking Benjamin.
Yep.
Let's go.
I got him.
This one's kind of a newer band, but I even like Five Finger Death Punch. They're the modern butt rock.
Yeah. Well, but they also I feel like kind of were breaking into the mainstream at a time when like butt rock was still pretty prominent.
Exactly.
You know, before it was the pejorative that it became.
Right. And then kind of more aligned to what I guess the era we're taking, bands from, Puddle of Mud.
Oh, yep, they're there. Yep.
But those are mine.
Okay. So the other, you want to hear the other ones honorable mentions that I had?
I'm excited because I feel like I missed a couple.
Because I wanted to include like new metal as well as post grunge. So I got Bush. They're like they're like OG butt rock.
Yeah.
Mudvayne.
I actually haven't heard of them. Might be a culture.
New metal for sure. 3 Doors Down.
Yes. Okay. I had them on a song later. That's for later.
Yeah. Hinder.
Yep. Okay.
Seether. And
yep.
so here's one of the, kind of going back to what you said about Papa Roach. Like this next band, for what they're known for most recently, is not butt rock at all.
Right.
But their biggest hits in the early 2000s, which I kind of consider, the heyday of butt rock.
Yeah.
This is a 90s podcast, so like the presence in the 90s was, the impetus for doing this episode. But and during that time, this band, had some real butt rock songs. Disturbed.
Yes. Oh my! I can't believe I didn't. I am surprised that one went over my head because they do definitely have some.
Well, what's it? Down with the Sickness.
Down with the Sickness.
That monologue at the end is just so. It's just so cringe.
I think what's interesting is for different people, Disturbed was different things. For me, because I only got into Disturbed like maybe in middle school, and by that time they were on to 10,000 Fists and doing stuff that was a little bit more complicated. But their roots are nu metal.
Yeah.
So that's super interesting that I didn't think of them that way, but I definitely agree with you 100%.
And I made a point to in the podcast is just because the genre or the subgenre you're associated with is post grunge or nu metal doesn't make you butt rock. Like there's some iconic bands that like Evanescence or Slipknot, right? Bands like that, Deftones.
Yep.
These are like really iconic bands that have that label, but they're not butt rock.
Exactly.
And anyway, so the last question, and you touched on it.
Yep.
But I want to kind of ask you. So you agree that butt rock right now it's transitioned. Like for the longest time, it was kind of hated. And now I think it's kind of nostalgically endearing. I think you're seeing more and more people that probably listen to EDM and indie rock and whatnot. They'll sing Nickelback at karaoke night.
Absolutely. I think the reason for that, I think a majority of the reason for that is nostalgia, because I think people, especially like in our age group now, maybe us that are in our 20s and 30s, that were like younger when all this stuff was, or kids when it came out, we realize now that we're probably not going to get that type of music to be mainstream ever again. So it kind of brings us back to a time when things were maybe a little bit simpler. And so when you meme it in a way, or like make it fun for us to kind of like, like you said, sing at a karaoke night or something like that, it's like, we're singing about the good old days, but it's also not too bad. Like, I kind of like this song.
There's a reason that, this song was massively successful.
Exactly.
Anyway, so let's get into to the well, this has all been fun, but to the really fun part.
Oh yeah.
So I came up with the idea to do a top 10 butt rock song draft.
Let's do it.
And essentially what it is we're going to name our top 10 butt rock songs. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we think it's our favorite butt rock songs or that we think it's like the most, cringeworthy butt rock songs. It is just our top 10 butt rock. Take whatever you will with that explanation. But anyway, so the rules of this list, Ryan and I are each going to have our own lists, and our list cannot share any songs. And only one artist can have more than one song. They can have 2 songs max, and that artist cannot be shared between Ryan and I. And like I said, the list can be humorous, can be your serious favorites, or can be any combination. And I'm definitely going to go with any combination.
Oh, yeah.
So let's get started. Ryan, you are the guest, so I would like you to choose what is your number one butt rock song.
Hell yeah. Real quick before we get in, so we're doing snake draft, right? So we're going to each go one at a time?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. I mean, when you think of butt rock, this is it. It's Nickelback, How You Remind Me.
That literally, so I have the butt rock anthems pulled up on Spotify. That's the first song.
Yes. I mean, I've said it 3 times now. It's memed. It's memed so hard, but it's also at the same time, it's memed so much that we like it now. And there's not one person that hasn't heard that song. I feel like now.
Well, you remember I told you I didn't notice this until recently that like Chad Kroger's Canadian accent comes out in the chorus on the word sorry.
Yep.
And I just and now every time I hear it, I'm just like, yes, culture.
Yes. He stayed true to himself.
All right, so this is gonna be tough. I grappled with this. What's my number one? And
okay.
I'm just kind of going. I'm my previous thoughts. Who cares? It's right in this moment who I'm choosing, and I gotta go Last Resort, Papa Roach.
Let's go.
I mean, like when he comes in with that acapella, "Cut My Life Into Pieces," like it's on.
These first 2 songs are like really what I would have said.
Yeah.
Like, this is my last resort. Like, oh my gosh, yes. I think it speaks to the characteristics that we've already gone over. I guess my turn.
Yes.
I'm gonna do Break Stuff Limp Bizkit.
Oh,
for my
that is just, how can you come to my home?
Dude, if this was an NBA draft, I've got LeBron and now I've got Kevin Durant.
Okay.
We're killing.
All right. Well, I see that, and I am going to take, I think, I have to go Nickelback. We're talking butt rock. I have to go Nickelback.
Wow.
And this might be a surprise. I'm going Animals.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Because, and I want to get your thought, and I wrote this in the monologue, and I was like, I want to hear what Ryan has to say. Animals is our generation's Hot for Teacher.
Oh my gosh.
With that drum intro.
Yeah. Oh my god. It's like you know it's that song when it comes on. That's
and
crazy.
You got the double bass and all that. So that's my
I can't believe Nickelback. I mean a double bass in butt rock. You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
Here's one that I don't think you saw coming, but I think it's kind of in the same tier. I'm curious to how you think about Bodies by Drowning Pool.
It's so interesting because there's like that one part that's like, and he's like kind of counting numbers or whatever.
One.
Yeah. So I didn't even realize that was that song because there was like a TikTok, like a dog TikTok, and it was like a cabaret version of that, and it was like this dog that like had just gotten this new toy or whatever, and then like, but I had heard that before I actually heard Bodies in entirety because everyone knows the beginning, the bodies hit the floor.
Sure.
And so like, and then when I was listening to that song, I was like making that connection. I was like, what does the world come to? But I like that. I like that a lot. And
what does the world come to?
So are you keeping track of your list or?
Yeah, I'm keeping track of mine over here.
Okay, so excellent. So I'm going number 3. I have to go with the band that I called the George Washington of butt rock.
Let's go.
I gotta go with Creed.
Let's go.
And I have to go with. This is a tough one because this is not my favorite Creed song, but this is more of a butt rock song. Mm-hmm. I'm going Higher. by Creed.
Can you turn?
That was, I think the biggest criticism that Creed gets. I mean, they get a lot of criticism, but one thing that I think is entirely legit is Scott Stapp totally ripped off Eddie Vedder. Like, there's like, you can't deny that.
Absolutely not, and that's the song where I think it's most evident too.
and it was to a point that like when I got into Pearl Jam, like at first I was like, is this Creed? And then they're like, Dub, don't ever say something like that again.
Dude, it's so crazy you mentioned that because, okay, I know this is kind of going on a tangent here, but you ever watch like YouTube poops? Like,
YouTube what?
YouTube poops. It's like basically they take SpongeBob episodes, right? and they dub words over them. Yeah. And so in one of the episodes we were watching as kids, there was this one where they made Patrick say, man, I love Creed. Have you listened to Creed? And then it pans out and it's just, can you take me? And it's like the dumbest thing. Like, I don't know. It's probably only funny to me and you since we're in the room right here.
Oh, no, it's great. As soon as you leave, I will be watching that.
Oh, it's so good.
I will find that. That sounds amazing.
But that's where I thought it was, I thought it was, not Creed. I thought it was one of the 90s bands we were talking about. So anyway, I love your pick. I guess my turn now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I am going to take...
We're in round 4, by the way.
Round 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so this song was the first song that loaded up on NASCAR 06 on my PlayStation 2. If that doesn't tell you how butt rock this is. This is Diary of Jane by Breaking Benjamin.
Let's fucking go.
It's a good song. I really like it.
It is a good song. And I would probably say Breaking Benjamin is probably the butt rock band that I never really got into them too much, but of course everyone knows Diary of Jane. Yeah,
and like it's a great song, but then like part of what makes them butt rock for me is you go through the rest of their discography and everything kind of sounds the same.
That's so butt rock. Yeah. So I'm going to take this is the first butt rock song ever. I'm taking the first butt rock song ever from the Godfathers of butt rock. Not Stone Temple Pilots, but Stone Temple Pilots' album Core.
Okay.
I'm going the first song, Dead and Bloated.
Dead and Bloated. Okay, so that one kind of went over my head a little bit when I was listening.
And I think I talked about it in the monologue, but apparently, like, the vocal sounds so weird. Because, like, Scott Weiland would always, like, rest in peace, by the way, he would always say, like, that a cappella intro, I am smelling like a rose that somebody gave me on my birthday deathbed. He would always use a megaphone. The reason for that is in the recording, he, like, uses the pickups from the guitarist. And records vocals into that.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's so experimental. Oh my gosh.
That's the thing. It's such a good album. But anyways, but Dead and Bloated, and then that always like Dead and Bloated, that song just reminds me so much of like Creed and Puddle of Mud and all of those late 90s like the real post grunge bands. So I'm going Dead and Bloated, and that's actually a very good song, but it's butt rock nonetheless.
I think he won that round against me. Moving on to round 5 here. It's a band I don't think we've talked about yet that we would never consider butt rock, but oh my god, is this song everything that it's about. We sang this one together. This is Walk by Pantera. It kind of came out of left field, I know, but like if you think about it at its core, that's so butt, dude.
It is. Well, because it's so aggressive. Like he's pissed off, and what is he pissed off about? Like, yes, that you know what, you're right. That is a butt rock. I don't consider Pantera a butt rock band,
sure,
but that's a butt rock song.
That's why we have this list, baby.
Yeah,
the one-offs.
Yeah. Damn. Now I feel like I got to do something like that. Let's see. Oof. I've been. Let's see. I come on. I cannot believe it. I've gone this long without including Limp Bizkit. Bro, I did it all for the Nookie.
The Nookie.
It's gotta be Nookie. That's just
not rolling. Interesting. Okay.
Damn. All right. I haven't done twice yet, so we can come back to that. But I just think so I was reading up about it. Apparently, like Nookie was like a really old fashioned, like 40s and 50s euphemism for sex.
I didn't know that.
And then Fred Durst just brings it back in like 1999 and makes a smash hit out of it. And also just like the lyrics of it are like, just so douchey and
oh yeah.
But man, that chorus, it's explosive. So yeah, that Nookie, that's my 5th round pick. But I think you got this round because I just did not see that Pantera song coming.
Dang, yeah. I feel pretty good about this next one as well, man. I'm going to do She Hates Me, Puddle of Mud.
Yes.
Dude, that one. You remember how I was talking about how like on the bus there'd be songs that played and like this is high school, I don't know if you're the same in high school, but you're done with the day. You've been up since like 6:45 and all you want to do is get home, and this bus driver, man, he was just playing this radio station and I hated this song. I learned to literally hate this song, but now it's that thing where it's like, it's kind of good now that I look back at it.
Because it's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny.
It's kind of self-deprecating.
Yeah, it's humorous.
It is what it is.
But
you know what I mean?
But to me, also, it's like, it's so boring. It's the same thing over and over again. How do people like this?
That is a perfect butt rock song. And I think like more, because like, their 2 biggest hits are Blurry, and She Hates Me, and I think Blurry is like a far superior song. Yeah, you know what I mean. And like so that's why I totally agree. Like that is She Hates Me is definitely more of a butt rock song. Not saying that it's any less memorable than than Blurry, but it is certainly more of a butt rock song for sure. All right.
Did my scouting.
I don't know if I should pull something up from left. If I should pull something from left field.
I think that's the way to go, because I think our list, we started off so central to it, and now we're kind of like showing, like we're opening the door to our influence a little bit here, which I really like, or like our personal.
Ooh, I got a good one.
Okay.
I'm going Addicted by Saving Abel.
Wait, I don't know if I've heard that song, man.
It's like, I'm so addicted to all the things I saw them, and because like they are peak butt rock. I saw them when I saw Avenged Sevenfold. I saw Avenged Sevenfold, Shinedown, Buck Cherry, and then Saving Abel was the first one, and they had just come out with Addicted, and it was like a big hit. And this singer literally, before and after every song, would say, "How we doing, Orlando?" I was like, "Yes."
As if we haven't streamed and approved the last 20 times you asked us.
But also, it's like he always said, it wasn't like, how you guys doing? It's like, "How we doing, Orlando?" Like he really did not. I don't think he knew where he was. And he was just
Lord.
Like, "I'm just gonna keep saying Orlando until somebody corrects me." That's how I know where I am.
I always find it amazing when like a band will like, be on tour and go someplace and like they horribly mess up where they actually are and mispronounce the place. And they just ruin the show.
Hello, Cleveland.
Whoops.
Yeah.
What round are we on now?
We are on round 7.
Okay. I think this is an appropriate place to kind of stick a newer song, not a newer song, sorry, a song that's like, I guess, newish, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Animal I Have Become, 3 Days Grace. I feel like that's like the mid 2000s version of butt rock in a way.
I was really torn is if 3 Days Grace is butt rock because their first couple albums were actually received really well by critics. And I think that I don't know the name. I don't know the name of the singer, but I think he was a good lyricist.
Oh yeah, Adam Gontier, I think it was. Yeah,
but I think you were saying earlier about like taking yourself too seriously. I think he was a little bit he had a little bit more finesse, if you will, than say like Jacoby Shandix or whatever.
Yeah.
But still, he could kind of take himself a little too seriously, get a little bit too corny, like you said.
And then like I feel like a lot of the fans, like again, this is probably not all 3 Days Grace fans because I know a bunch of our age that likes them too. But like when I was picking this one, I was also like, man, like when I was at the one like concert I went and saw 3 Days Grace at, like all the dads went wild for that one, man. Like they were listening to that song on the way to the concert.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm gonna continue with some. This is a song I think dads love.
Okay.
And this is actually I think the best song by this band, but this is as beautiful as butt rock gets. I'm going Kryptonite, Three Doors Down.
Yes, sir. I was debating going with this one actually.
Do you remember? Because that came out in 2000. I was 7 when that
really.
When that came
I would have
out.
thought it came out a little bit later.
So do you remember when it came out?
No.
Did you ever see the music video for it?
I want to say I have. Is it like? I mean, I think of colors. Was it like a greenish themed video?
It could. I think it was like just some old dude dressed up like a Superman, and he clearly it was essentially like a real life mermaid man. That's essentially what it was.
This rings a bell for sure.
Yeah, and I just remember there's like one scene where he's like this superhero is like cooking cockroaches or like playing with cockroaches or something like that, and
that's so 2000.
Yeah.
Let's see, round.
So now we're at round 8.
Ooh, I have another good one for you, man. Wait, where was it? Okay, so I'm surprised you didn't take this one yet. Headstrong, Trapped.
Headstrong. So I mentioned them as an honorable mention. Trapped. Oh my god, Headstrong is peak butt rock.
It's just the same, like I don't know, like you have that low guitar chug into that like pitchy guitar squeal thing that it's got going on. It's like, oh my god, that's so new metal.
Oh my, for sure. Man, this next one is gonna be hard. Trying to think of a band. Okay, so this is a band that I wanted to do earlier, and I didn't know which is like the more butt rock song. But I'm just gonna take the most famous song by this band because I really think they were. Like their status as butt rock icons cannot be understated.
Sure.
And that is Hinder, and I'm choosing Lips of an Angel.
Hell yeah. Okay. I feel like you came back with that one right there.
Yeah.
Good shit, dude. I'm like writing down our list. Well, I have some of yours. I missed a couple because I was looking through mine too.
Yeah, I've just gotten my list, so at the end we'll go over that.
Okay.
But yeah, Lips of an Angel. I remember when that came out, and then that song about like the singers having an affair or something like that.
Yeah,
like that was also a big thing. I remember in the early 2000s, like a lot of butt rock singers like these like really depressed songs about like, oh, I'm having an affair. I'm such a bad person. Like, yeah, you are.
Yeah, you
are.
are.
We're not gonna feel bad for you just because you're aware of it.
You're making us aware too by singing about it. So.
Exactly.
This is another one again from the bus ride home, man. Click Click Boom, Saliva.
Oh wow, I'm not familiar with that. Like I know of the song, but I don't think I'm familiar with that song.
It's literally the chorus just goes click click boom, and it's just a song about getting your anger out. Like if you listen to it after, you'll definitely agree. Yeah. It's just one of those like, and again, this band Saliva, I didn't listen to any of their other stuff. I just know that song was on the radio and I heard it a bunch, so that's my number 9.
I'm gonna do my first, I'm gonna do an artist that I've already chosen.
Okay.
Because none of us have done that yet.
Yeah, we've been pretty diversified here.
And I'm shocked that the artist I'm gonna do second is Papa Roach. I'm going Scars by Papa Roach.
Okay. Yeah.
Just kind of going back to, I think Jacoby Shandix of every, like Fred Durst's lyrics were terrible, but they were like so interestingly bad.
Sure. Yeah.
Whereas like it's like, how did you come up with that? It's bad, but at least it's like, it was interesting. Like Jacoby's was just cringe as all hell. And like if you listen to the lyrics of the chorus of Scars, like I tear my heart open, I sew myself shut. My weakness is that I care too much.
There's that emotion we're talking about.
Listen to that. My weakness is that I care too much.
How do you not think that's not gonna age well?
It's just like when like your interview is like, what's your weakest quality? Oh, I just think I'm too good at my job, like, and it makes other people feel bad. Like that's essentially what Jacoby is saying. And I love Jacoby. No disrespect, but.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's side note, he actually does some stuff with some newer bands I think I mentioned earlier. And he I saw a TikTok come up of him working with Ice Nine Kills, and like he's just so cheesy when they write something that's really not that crazy, but he just sits there like, "Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's it, man. Oh, that's definitely it right there." Oh, he's just a character.
He is a caricature of himself for sure. But we love you, Jacoby.
We love you.
Don't ever change.
This is all like we wouldn't have anything to talk about if you weren't like this. I guess round 10 here, man. This is tough because I want to end it with
we got to end with a bang.
With an exclamation point here. This is brutal, man. I feel like I used all my ammo in the middle rounds, but okay. This one's pretty bad. I Stand Alone by Godsmack.
Okay. All right. All right. Again, Godsmack is not a band that I ever got into.
Yeah.
When I hear Godsmack, I think of the Alice in Chains song.
Mm-hmm.
But I am totally cool with that.
Well, that rounds out my list. I guess. All right, what is your exclamation point here? I'm
going out with a bang.
I regret not putting one, but here you go. Yep.
I'm gonna go out with a bang. It's a song that I already mentioned in passing. I'm going down with The Sickness.
Dang.
I'm going down with The Sickness.
That's way better. Oh, yeah, that's way better. You won that round. Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but yeah, Disturbed, man, especially that song, like, who has not loved doing the
Yeah.
That was both, spontaneous on the spot. We'll practice that one for later.
Because, whenever I do kind of that screech, it's always just my Axl Rose voice.
Yeah.
So if you ever were picturing Axl Rose singing Disturbed, I guess that's kind of what you just got from me.
That's Dove.
That is Dove, yeah. All right, so I want you, can you please tell me again what your top 10 butt rock list is? So
I got How You Remind Me, Nickelback. I got Break Stuff, Limp Bizkit. I got Bodies by Drowning Pool, I think, yep. Diary of Jane, Breaking Benjamin. Walk, Pantera. She Hates Me, Puddle of Mud. Animal I Become, 3 Days Grace. Headstrong, Trapped. Click, Click, Boom, Saliva. And I Stand Alone, Godsmack.
I love that. And I do got to give you props that you there was 2 artists from the Mount Rushmore that you didn't include.
Yeah. I mean, we had talked a little bit about them earlier in the podcast too, but like you said, the list was kind of something where we kind of went traditional, but also kind of showed a little bit of our like, what do we kind of think about?
Right. That's I love that, and so mine, I had Last Resort number 1. I think we both had really strong number 1s.
Oh, we did. Your number 2 is good too.
Animals is my number 2.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I got Higher by Creed.
Yep. That's strong too.
I've got Dead and Bloated, Stone Temple Pilots. The OG the first butt rock song to ever hit the airwaves.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got Addicted by Saving Abel.
Yep.
I got Kryptonite by Three Doors Down. I got Lips of an Angel by Hinder. I got Scars by Papa Roach.
That's good.
Shout out Jacoby. And I got Down with the Sickness by Disturbed. What's the name of their singer again? Disturbed singer?
David Draymond?
He's such a cool dude. Like, I've seen interviews with him, so shout out to him as well.
Yeah.
So now, before we wrap it up, let's go through and like see if we can have a consensus who won each round.
Okay. Yeah.
So Last Resort versus How You Remind Me. I'm calling that a draw.
That's a draw.
I can't. Yeah. What was your number 2? Is because Animals, and then what was yours?
Break Stuff.
Break Stuff.
I feel like that could be a draw.
No. I'm going Break Stuff.
All right, cool.
Yeah, you got that. So
one.
So it's 1. You got 1.
Okay.
Then I got Higher. What was your number 3?
I had Bodies. I think you slightly edged me.
I'm gonna
on
say
that.
I agree. I think it's as close can be. But like, come on, can you take me higher? Yeah, you can't. Yeah. Then the next one, I have Nookie. What do you have?
I had Diarrhea Jane. I think Nookie beats me. I'm gonna
go Nookie as well.
Yep.
So
2-1 you.
Wait. I'm sorry. What round was that?
That was round 4 for me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I lied. That was Dead and Bloated.
Dead and Bloated versus Diarrhea. It's kind of hard to compare those because those are so different era.
Because obviously Dead and Bloated's a better song, but I think I'm gonna give it to you because I think Breaking Benjamin, Diary of Jane is more people more know that more, and that's more associated with butt rock.
Okay, cool. So 2-1 me.
Then I have Nookie. What's your number 5?
I wasted a good one. It was Walk by Pantera. I think you still edge me out on that one.
I'm taking because I love how you came from left field, but I just think Nookie is such a that is peak Limp Bizkit.
Yes,
that is a Limp Bizkit song.
I'll give that one to you. I definitely agree.
So we're at 2-2.
Yeah, I think I'm about to take this one from you though.
Oh, you're gonna get it. What was yours?
I had She Hates Me by Puddle of Mud.
Don't even care what I put. I did Addicted. I made too rash of a decision with that one. Then I have number 7. I got Kryptonite. What do you have? Wait. I'm sorry. So what are we at? 3-2? You?
3-2 to me.
Okay.
Yes. I had Animal I Become. I think I gave you that one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll take Kryptonite. I think so. We're at 3-3.
3-3.
Lips of an Angel's 8. What do you have?
I got Headstrong.
Gotta go. No, you I'm sorry. You win that. There's no way. Lips of an Angel, I think is such a butt rock song, but Headstrong, I think also just because of the legacy of Trapped and how they've kind of become a pariah. I'm
so glad because that was my probably strongest one I had left. I'm glad that we matched up on that one because you definitely would have beaten any other one of my songs with your song.
That's totally fair. So we're at 4-3 you, right?
Yes.
And then I have Scars for number 9. What do you have?
I have Click Click Boom. You won that one.
Yeah, Papa Roach versus Most.
Exactly.
And then we're
at tie, so the tiebreaker.
The tiebreaker.
Shit, you're gonna beat me.
What do you have? Because you had
I Stand Alone by Godsmack.
I got Down with the Sickness by
you beat
I
me.
can't. Yeah. Well, listen, it's only fitting that the man who spent 2 months making a podcast episode about butt rock wins the draft.
Hey, it was a photo finish.
Yeah. All right, my guy. Well, that's about as much fun on a Tuesday that I think I could possibly have. So thank you so much.
Don't tell Russell that. He's in our band.
Yeah. But a butt rock fan to be clear. But yeah, Ryan, thank you so much. And for again, I know you've done this podcast so many times, and every time it's a blast. Congratulations again. On your wedding, and I am so excited for it. And yeah, man, just thank you for coming, and this was awesome.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to the next one in 3 weeks.
Sounds good. Take care, man.
See you.
Thanks, y'all, for listening, and a special thanks to our returning champion, Ryan Gillman, and hopefully he's somewhere enjoying his last few days as a bachelor. Anyways, have a great rest of y'all's day, and whatever it brings, hopefully music is involved. Again, I'm Dub Brenner, and this is Hot Cakes from a 90s Stand. Take care.